What up, gang of Lane? Carolina Jackpot time coming at you. It is November 19th, 2023, Sunday evening, and it's also a joyous Sunday evening, November 19th, 2023, because last night, my Gamecocks, in come-from-behind fashion, take down Kentucky and Coach Mark Stoops in Williams-Brice Stadium 17-14. Why were the Gamecocks able to take them down? We'll discuss that later on in this video, but the main reason is this. Kentucky just sucks. I told everybody they sucked, and they proved that out last night. Before we get into the rest of this video, please, if you're new around here, consider staying true around here by subscribing to the Carolina Jackpot channel, clicking the little bell so you get the notifications every time I post a video. Do a lot of college football content on this channel, as well as various other items that may interest you. Hit the thumbs up while you're in the process also. That drives me down the YouTube algorithm, paved road, if you will, to places that I've never been before. So I really would appreciate you doing those two things while you're at it. Look, this win last night by South Carolina, they needed it. They had to have it in order to remain in contention for a bowl. I think they were saying still that there weren't enough teams with winning records, that they may take some teams with a losing record in a bowl games, maybe. I don't know if that's still a thing right now or not. I mean, I could see that conceivably happening. There are so many bowls right now, and we talk about it all the time. My God, how many, are they going to keep adding bowls? Yeah, I mean, they do. I mean, there's a ton of them right now. I'm kind of wondering how that's going to all work when the 12-team college football playoff gets started. I'm sure that some of your higher level bowls, your New Year's Six games and that type of stuff are going to probably be integrated and incorporated in as playoff games. And then maybe some of even the upper tier bowls that aren't New Year's Six, like the, I forget what they call it now, but like the former Outback Bowl, maybe the Gator Bowl, definitely not the Duke's Mayo Bowl. That's shitty. Like the Sun Bowl, it's been around forever. I wasn't necessarily have real great teams. I think that's like an ACC. What's an ACC Pac-12 matchup? And that's weird too, because all these bowl tie-ins that used to have, I mean, where are they all going to go? Anything that was tied in with the Pac-12 is done. It's immediately going to be doing something else. So we'll see how all that shakes out. But who wants to go to a bowl at 5-7? I mean, that's really just like a fuck you consolation prize. You really don't want to go to a bowl with a losing record, man. That would be like, I remember when South Carolina was going to play in a bowl in that COVID year when we were 2-8, and Will Muschamp had been fired, and we were supposed to play in the Gasparilla Bowl against UAB, who I think was like 9-1. Thank God, I mean, well, not thank God that they did, but we had enough players who actually had COVID to the point where they just ended up canceling the game. And I mean, they said they had COVID. I don't know if they did or not. I think they probably just didn't want to go play and get the hell beat out of them by UAB. That's probably about the way that one worked out there. But last night's offensive performance from South Carolina, yeah, boy, Carolina Jackpot wasn't extremely impressed with. Under 300 yards of total offense. Less than 100. I think we had like 50 yards rushing on the night. Mario Anderson Jr. just a non-factor. I mean, he may have had more yards receiving than he did rushing. And he's had multiple 100-yard rushing games this year, so that was really disappointing. And we knew Kentucky's front four was especially solid. And they have a good defense. It's not a vintage Mark Stoops defense, though. I mean, they gave up 38 points to Mizzou. They let Georgia hang 50-something on them. So the fact that South Carolina was only able to put up 17, to me, is, hell, it's a little bit disturbing. A little bit disturbing. Tennessee, I think, put 33 on them. We put up roughly half that. But still, a win is a win, guys, and we did enough to get the W. I can't say enough about how well that defense played, and they, the past two games, they've improved a lot. I don't know what they did. They mixed the scheme up a little bit and went to more of like a 3-3-5 look, which was effective in stopping the Kentucky run game for the most part. you know, Ray Davis did break off one and have a like a 30-yard touchdown run. But I mean, other than that, we pretty much held them in check. Got the stops when we needed to. Devin Leary, this guy, there's not really much else that you can say about him. I already told you the way I feel about him yesterday. Nothing against the guy personally. I don't know him, believe it or not. But he's just not a very good quarterback. And he was at NC State several years ago. This guy was, this guy looked like he could potentially one day be a first-round NFL draft pick if he continued on the trajectory that he was on. But no more. He got injured last year, about midway through the season, and it was a torn pec he suffered, and he's just not been the same quarterback since. So last night, I think he was 17 of 34 throwing the ball, I think. Just under 200 yards. Did throw a touchdown pass to Barryon Brown. I don't know if y'all saw that one or not. If you caught the game, after he caught the touchdown pass, he was right in front of the South Carolina student section doing the little dance over there or whatever. I'm like, yeah, fuck you, buddy. You're going to lose. You just don't know it yet. But defensively stepped up in a major way last night, and I was glad to see that. Offensively, though, they got to do a lot better. They're going to have to do a lot better against Clemson if they're going to win that ball game. Right now, the lines have come out. The Gamecocks are a 7-point underdog against the hated hillbillies from the dirty corner in the upstate of South Carolina. If anybody knows, if you've been around long enough, you've been watching this channel, if you've been rocking it with me the long way, or if you're new around here, you'll soon find out. I cannot stand them. I absolutely loathe Clemson. I loathe their fan base. They've got some good fans. In fact, many of them come up to me when I'm out in public places. I do potato chips for a living. I do route sales. And by the way, today I'm actually not in my truck. I'm in a larger scale van. As my truck, the damn radiator busted on the thing on Friday night or Friday afternoon late, left me on the side of the road in Ware Shoals, South Carolina. Probably not the one place you want to be left alone. Not that's particularly dangerous in Ware Shoals, South Carolina. It's just the fact that there's not a lot there. And I didn't get home until about 9 o'clock at night, but it's in the process of getting fixed. So I had to pack as much merchandise as I could into this van. I'm going to have to work out of it for probably about a week or so till the radiator on the truck can get fixed. But it's all good. I like a good van every now and then. So, hey, it is what it is. Just part of the job, right? 7-point favorites. I expect this line to be bet up too. Simply just the fact that Clemson is really good at rushing the football. And, even though South Carolina held Ray Davis in check for the most part last night, I'm just not sure. I'm not sold on the fact that, hey, they've solved their problems now and they're now able to shop the run. I'm just not. Clemson has multiple talented running backs, and that being Will Shipley and Phil Maffa. Both of those guys can hurt you. Kentucky's was one-dimensional with Davis. They don't have anybody else there of note who can do a whole lot. And plus, I personally think Clemson's offensive line is probably a little bit better than Kentucky's. They're probably a notch above them. Clemson's sitting there with a 7-3 record. I think Kentucky, they're 7-4. I think Kentucky's 6-5. So they're one game better than Kentucky. But, if they played on a field today, Clemson would beat Kentucky by 3 touchdowns easily. They're starting to come into their own. And I was pretty pissed off yesterday when I watched that Clemson-North Carolina game at the way North Carolina was just giving Clemson the football game. 2 turnovers in the first half that negated one that would have been a North Carolina easy touchdown when Omarion Hampton was basically trotting into the end zone. Nate Wiggins runs from the other side, that's the Clemson cornerback, runs from the other side of the field, runs down Hampton at the goal line, comes up from behind him, strips the football from him, and Hampton fumbles it out of the end zone for a touchback, and it's Clemson's ball. That made me so angry. not the fact that, not to take anything away from Wiggins, because that was one hell of an athletic play for him to make it from one side of the field all the way down to the other corner and strip that ball from that young man before he could get in the end zone. There's not a lot of other kids out there that can do that. You got to give the devil his due. Wiggins has come a long way as a football player. I watched him kind of early in the season last year at Wake Forest as he was a backup cornerback at the time. And I can't remember, somebody was out, but he was absolutely getting cooked by Sam Hartman and whatever that wide receiver was that Wake had last year was pretty good. His name I can't remember. But he looked bad. But he's made up for it yesterday, though. I just felt like that North Carolina player, Hampton. I mean, like you not realize this guy's behind you and he's coming up on you. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. It seemed like he could have stepped out of bounds there, but when you're fixing to score a touchdown on a 55-yard run, I guess stepping out of bounds on purpose is probably the last thing on your mind. He was wanting to score. Anyway, North Carolina also gave the ball away early in the game on the first drive. They completed a long pass down to Tez Walker, had it inside the Tater 5-yard line. They promptly fumbled the football and give it back to them. So, that's just poor ball handling by North Carolina. But yet, you got to give credit to Clemson for creating those turnovers. South Carolina created 3 turnovers last night against Kentucky. That was the difference in the ball game. South Carolina would have lost that ball game had they not created those turnovers. So, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. But we've got to – it's too late in the season for an offense with as much talent on it as a Spencer Rattler, as an Amarian Brown, as a Xavier Leggett, as a Trey Knox, as a Josh Simon. All these guys are really good. It's too late in the season for an offense. Oh, I forgot to mention Mario Anderson Jr. My God. For these people for that offense to not be clicking anymore and to be able to put up 17 points on Kentucky. Now, in the end, it was all that you needed because your defense stepped up to the occasion. It's not going to be enough to beat Clemson. It's not. You'll lose that game by 17 points if you do what you did last night against them. So, we've got to protect Spencer Rattler better. We've got to be better. Shane Beamer in his post-game presser, I think he started to tone it down a little bit. I was just, I was on his ass pretty hard after that Jacksonville State game for the way he acted, calling the fans out. I felt like he was talking to me almost when he came on that post-game presser right there with the what was it he said? That was a big win, and there's going to be a lot of disappointed people out there who just want to be miserable all the time. And I was thinking, like, who are you coming off like that, brother? I mean, if it wasn't for these fans out here that are watching this sport of college football, there wouldn't be any college football being played. It would be an intramural sport that no one gave a shit about. If it weren't for the fans out there, those are the ones generating the money for the football program. The fans that come to the games, the fans that watch the team on TV, the fans that buy the apparel, that have been around, that have stuck around for years, that are members of the Gamecock Club, or if you're any coach in any sort of whatever club, at whatever school, we're the ones who are writing the checks, brother. Or we are the ones putting the money in the bank. Okay? So don't act like we're not important or act like we're kind of dismissive or that you can just get out there on your high horse and start attacking us for no particular reason at all. Your team played like crap. You almost lost to a team in their first year in FCS, or FBS. FCS is what Furman plays in. In FBS, they made the move up from FCS, Jacksonville State did. So we have a right to be a little bit pissed off about it and want to see a better product. Then last night, he, made some comments. He was happy. He was excited, and he should have been. I mean, it was a good win, okay? It wasn't a great win, but it was a solid win by the South Carolina, and a win that was placed mostly on the shoulders of our defense, as I've said, and that's been an Achilles heel for most of the year. So he had a right to be a little bit excited and happy about that. He may go a little bit overboard a little bit. Yeah, he's kind of goofy. He's dorky. Everybody, he was the last guy picked for dodgeball. He was probably the guy that got picked on a little bit in school. And I don't know about all that. I mean, he did play college football. I mean, he's a little bit athletic there as far as that goes. But people were still piling on him last night. My God, he's so stupid. Look at him. He beat Kentucky by 3 points. And here it comes. That old cliche saying that we talked about yesterday, one of those damn sayings I can't stand. Yeah, like he just won the Super Bowl. How'd I get so tired of hearing that? He wasn't acting like he won the Super Bowl. And it's easy to defend somebody after a win, but I'm sitting here looking at this objectively as possible. Shane Beamer didn't do anything wrong in his press conference. He didn't say anything stupid, and he didn't cut out of line. So people kind of need to back off the man's case a little bit. Okay. And I've stepped back this week and taken a look at things from a bigger picture, and I just kind of looked at and just kind of listed and wrote down the other day all the players that we've had that have been injured this year, have missed time due to injury, and it's an overwhelming amount of players, and it's not an excuse, but that team has been absolutely decimated from what it was at the beginning of the season. Now, one could also look at it and say, well, at the beginning of the season, look what you did. You shit down the back of both legs against North Carolina. That's also true. That's a fair point. But, not having a Juice Wells, which is your best offensive weapon, on the field all year long, save one drive against Georgia, it's hurt. But at the same time, the best thing that probably ever could happen for Xavier Legette's career was Juice Wells getting the turf toe. I mean, these things happen for a reason, and or the broken foot, whatever. And I'm not saying I'm glad Juice Wells broke his foot. I'm glad he sat out all year long. That's not what I'm saying at all. Legette was forced into that wide receiver one role, and he has performed. I don't know of any player who's made a bigger jump from one year to the next, as far as a come up, as far as numbers wise. But man, that guy he's done a lot for this team this year. He's taken that offense on his back. One might argue that he was even more important to the offense than Spencer Rattler has been. He's really good. He's really going to be missed. And he's made himself a hell of a lot of money this year. And I'm not talking about NIL-wise. I'm talking about for the future. So his stock has really, really elevated this year. I'm glad for him. So Clemson coming up this week. We'll be talking about that more and more as the week goes on. But, I mean, I'm telling you, this is going to be a tough one. It's going to be tough. It's a winnable game for South Carolina, but Clemson's on a roll. I would feel so much better about this one if we were getting the Clemson that we saw before the game against Notre Dame. If we were getting that Clemson right now against the South Carolina that we've had after the past few games, I would have no qualms telling you we'll beat them by 2 touchdowns. Right now, though, they've cleaned up a lot of those errors. They're starting to click on offense. Cade Klubnik's even starting to play better. So this one's going to be really tough. It's going to be really tough. Look for that line to move off that 7 too. I expect Clemson to be. I expect them to be about a 9-10 point favorite by the time we kick the ball off on Saturday night. I just don't think that the public trusts South Carolina to be able to stop the run. Cade Klubnik's not going to have to throw the ball around that much if they get that run game going with Shipley and Maffa. Last year they got off of it. Shipley was hurting South Carolina on the ground last year, and for some unknown reason, Clemson just got off of it and stopped handing the ball off to him and started having DJ Ukulele try to complete passes, and it wasn't working. We sold their signals, though, right? I forgot all about that. Anyway, the signed signal stealers last night, are the ones accusing us of stealing the signals, or the ones we accused them against, Tennessee. Look, I made the embarrassing pick. I'll go and say it. I told you I thought that they would upset Georgia in Neyland Stadium. It didn't happen. They're infinitely nowhere near as talented as Georgia. I thought the crowd I thought, back against the wall, house money, nothing to lose. Georgia may not be up for this one. It didn't. None of it worked out that way. None of it worked out in that direction, and they quite frankly got beat 38-10, and it really wasn't even that close. I mean, I can't think of a moment in that game other than when they rushed for that touchdown on the first play of the game, that Tennessee was even in the ball game. It was awful for them. But I mean, my feelings aren't hurt. I don't like Tennessee either. In fact, as far as SEC teams go and opponents of ours go, I mean, I have respect for Georgia. I don't talk a lot of shit about Georgia other than when we're playing them. Because you can't, number one, it's like, back in the day, nobody talked about how shitty of basketball players Larry Bird and Magic Johnson were, because they weren't. So you can't really talk a lot of trash about Georgia in the present day. I'll get on them a little bit when we play them. That's about it. But Tennessee, just annoying as hell, and really didn't deserve Carolina Jackpot's support yesterday or endorsement, however you got it. So just be thankful that you did, that you were able to join that elusive club for at least one day. But no more. No more. Not again. I will not pull for them again unless they happen to play Clemson again in a bowl game, which is unlikely. That happened 2 years in a row. Anyway, guys, I've rambled on long enough. Live show tonight, 9 p.m., the Rob and Kel Show. Please join us there for some more fun football and conversation. You can even join the show by clicking on the StreamYard link in the live chat, and we'll have a good old time tonight at 9 p.m. I'll see you guys later on. I appreciate your support. Thanks for watching the channel. Go Gamecocks. Go Coach Beamer. Go Spencer Rattler. Go Xavier Leggett. Let's beat that Clemson ass.